Good morning. I just listened to my NewFoundReality podcast, episode 1. And of course, I realized how difficult it is to understand everything that I am talking about in the podcast or to accept it. You know, when you're trying to break a 2,000-year-old conditioning, of course, you're going to have problems with it. I have problems with it myself. When I listen to what I'm talking about, I get really alarmed. Nevertheless, I've been called upon to channel these messages and to share my own truth and my own understanding of the world in a way that I can do, and this is the only way that I can. Whether we agree or disagree, that's another story. I don't agree with myself. The reason why I wanted to do this part 2, I guess, to episode 1 is the fact that what I mean by legalization of sex work is the fact that I'm trying to find a way to deal with repressed emotions and sexuality. If as humanity we are capable of absolutely everything under the sun. If you look at our rainbow color flag, you can see that absolutely everything is normal. Absolutely everything. Humans throughout history have lived in complete debauchery and sin that we say today. To them, that was completely normal. What used to be shunned upon, whether that was homosexual love or bisexual love or whatever, is completely normal and has been attempted and done by society, by humans forever. Like Rumi said, beyond right and wrong there's a field and I'll meet you there. We are only judging these situations again according to our own social conditioning. Even our biology has been conditioned. So what I witnessed in my lifetime, for example, in a war, is this complete release. We have done horrible things to each other. I've always claimed that it is easier to shoot a man than to have sex with him. That is the problem. That is the problem. During the war, in every country, even in mine, the most unreported crimes were rapes that happened between men. So how come that all these heterosexual men, macho men, go into the war in order to whatever, and they rape women, but they also rape men? I mean, these are very triggering subjects. I apologize for speaking about it. Children as well. Horrible. Read about any war, whether it's in modern history or in the history, and you will find this information. You will find that men that were perfectly normal and whatever we consider normal would go out into the war and commit these horrible crimes. These same men would come back to whatever the peaceful situation and live under the same norm. So let's say what happens during the war is that you obey the morality and again the false morality and the false commandment. And then when the war happens, everything is off, the masks come off, and then you do all these things. Again, men, women, children, it doesn't matter, animals. What one man can do, every man can do. One of the critiques of feminism was that men rape because they can. As simple as that. Something else was said about women, but I will not get into that. The reality is that we are both masculine and feminine. However, we have been forced and subjected into thinking that men should live in masculinity and women should live in femininity. In reality, we constantly switch. I always joke, in my relationships, I want to be the little spoon. I'm sick and tired of being like, be the man, don't cry, be rough. It's not the only way I am. I don't want to live with half of my being. If you think that if you had a mother and a father create you, then how can you say that you're just a man or just a woman? Physically, this is who I am. But within my DNA, I have both information of masculine and the feminine. I'm half my mother, I'm half my father. What the legalization of sex work would do is give us an opportunity to deal with these issues in a healthy manner. If you have strong sexual urges towards one sex or the other, and you cannot deal with them, they are going to become deviant in such a way that you're either self-destruct through addictions, or you will turn outwards and become a criminal and commit horrible crimes. People who volunteer to go to wars have some serious issues. And if you think it's because they want to defend somebody else's country or they feel strongly about this and that, no. People do everything for selfish reasons, just like I'm doing this. I simply need to share this, otherwise I'm going to explode. I feel like a freaking volcano. I've seen so much happen that I really just can't be quiet anymore about it. We constantly live in this false reality in which what we say and what we think and what we feel are in complete disarray. Look at the fact that we had to lie to our children that Santa Claus is real, that Tooth Fairy is real, and for all I know they might be real. They might be. But that's not how it works, I remember growing up as a child, my parents would say every time a sex scene would happen in a movie, cover your eyes or look to the side or leave the room. What kind of conditioning was that? The birds and the bees, and then they go in the bedroom and engage into like the most devious sexual acts. We were lying, first of all, to ourselves, and then we're lying to our children. That's not going to raise healthy individuals. If we constantly push our sexuality under the rug, let's not talk about it, it's going to backfire. The reality is that throughout the history we have lived in such, I would say, not oppressive, but liberating times. These are the oppressive times in which, even though we have the freedom, this is basically agreed upon prison. Because in order for us to sort of live happily in this society, we had to kind of relinquish of our freedoms in many ways. But what happened is that the game has, or the rules have been designed by a certain group of people that still profit from it. In one of my videos of mice and elephants, which is a parody of mice and men, I talk about this. It's like, we are the mice yelling to the elephant, yo elephant, pass me the ball, let's play together. Of course the elephants are going to win, because they have designed the game, they are physically superior to us and whatnot. Even our DNA has been tampered for the past 2,000 years in such a way that, it propagates the same story of one domination over the other. It's not working. It really isn't. Because we cannot live in such a way that most of us are basically just, supposed to follow the rules, while the minority that actually controls the game does not follow the rules and can do absolutely everything. We need to open this. We need to talk about this, and again, in my episodes I'm going to talk about different things. The first one is, of course, legalization of sex work. The second one should be the proactive or holistic approach to family unit. We need to talk also about the abolishment of private property, the establishment of euthanasia or mercy killing, a way to get out of this game, and the public display of socioeconomical status, the emotional currency, and all these things that, again, we're going to discuss in detail later on. But the first one that we need to understand is this. If we are going to deal with the problems that are really plaguing our society, we need to give each other a healthy outlet. If you want to experiment, if you want to do things, here you go. And that goes both for men and women. We need to basically open this and we give everybody a chance, because nothing forced will bring or amount to anything. You cannot force either man or woman to be a certain way. So what this legalization of sex work includes is that we're not only talking about physical and carnal pleasure, we're talking about our need for connection. In the previous video I talked about the South Korean style of sex work. A lot of sex workers do not actually have anything physical to do with you. We have these kissing rooms and hug rooms in which a businessman hires a woman just to freaking hug him for like an hour and baby him, because he's just craving that kind of love. What happens is when you get married and your wife gets pregnant and you have babies, then all the love gets kind of transferred to the baby. So in order for a husband to get wife's love, he has to become a baby. Oh, but I'm a baby too, please, I'm also needing your love. So that completely takes away our masculinity, because a woman is no longer interested in that. She's busy being a mother, she's changed. So what happens to the husband? Who's going to end up meeting his needs? As a married man, you are doomed not to have sex ever again. Whether your wife is busy with children, whether your wife is sick or working, or 1,001 excuse. The story of Scheherazade and 1,001 Arabian Night. 1,001 night she had excuse in the form of a story why not to have sex with this man. I'm joking, of course, because it goes both ways, but in reality is that men crave sex differently than women do. Women crave sex just as much, and we haven't even touched that. We haven't even talked about the way that women express their sexuality. Excuse me. As you can see, my throat chakra is kind of seizing up, because I am also not ready to talk about it. What if the fact that maybe we live in a society in which one woman needs several men rather than one man needs several women? What if everything we think is wrong? What if we are supposed to share each other? What we are supposed to have several partners living together? One of the ideas that Glenn and I used to joke about is that fatherhood in general should be completely abolished, that you should not know who your children are, and that fathers should be like a rotational institution in which you are with one family for a while, and then when you get fed up, they just switch around, go to another family. And as long as you are aware and you're not doing harm, and if three different families decide, that you are no longer a contributing member of the society, you're out of the game. You can no longer participate in this, because some people really are not ready to be parents. These are some interesting side elements to this. But yes, all these things have to be addressed. What do we do in these situations? What do we do? How do we deal with this? Personally, of course, I wish I could, have everything with one person, and everybody does. It would be much easier, and I believe in sacrifices, but it doesn't really work like that. It doesn't. Both men and women have needs, and unless these needs are met, we cannot have healthy relationships. What happens is that, if a woman is not happy or not satisfied, she's going to transfer this angst onto her own children, and then we're creating another generation of emotionally crippled adults. I am really not sure how this all would work out, but again, I strongly believe that the first step would be to have that option. Whether that's, physical or not, that's up to us to decide. But if you're able to access your needs through a system that is designed and fully supported by the government and by the society, then why not? If you're looking for a person that will just go out, see a movie with you, just hold a hand, listen to you, honestly, how many men would actually hire a sex worker just to talk to them? It's not a joke. And the women feel the same. The women want the romance. The women don't want to hire somebody just to have sex with them for 5-10 minutes and leave. No. They want cuddling. They want that emotional connectedness, and I don't blame them. What happens in marriage is that we are busy with freaking day-to-day life, that our emotional and sexual life suffers. So these are some issues that we need to address. So we can either change the society, or we can try to change ourselves, or we can find a bridge between these two. So in order for us to, of course, achieve this level of pure openness, that the number 3 commandment has to be addressed, and that is the abolishment of private property, in which you have to understand that nothing belongs to you, not your wife, not your car, not your house, not your children, not even your life. When that happens at a higher level, not just at the physical level, but also at an emotional level, when we achieve this pure detachment, we're going to be able to fully help each other and integrate each other into our own lives. So that way, our needs are going to be met. If I can't meet your needs, somebody else can, and I should not have a problem with it, and vice versa. Once we have these separate needs met, then we can talk about pure love. In the previous video, I did not explain that the 3 kinds of loves are the sexual love, the romantic love, and the attachment. So you can have a sexual partner who can be pretty much anybody. You can have romantic love, which is something that becomes almost a habit. When you fall in love with somebody and you cherish this love and you work on it, you become romantically involved with each other. But after a while, the romantic love is what they call a puppy love, or something that is not just a sexual, but you still have that desire for that carnal sexual love. And finally, you have the attachment, which happens between partners that are raising children. They become like brothers and sisters. They are no longer physically or romantically involved, but they are there to raise children. However, they still have needs for romantic love. They still have needs for that sexual experimentation. So basically, you need 3 people to join into one, and at each given point, these 3 people must provide your physical, emotional, and financial needs. Good luck. I'm not a freaking Superman. What is it? The secret to happy marriage is to have a man that supports you in bed, a man that supports you financially, a man that supports you emotionally, financially, and the trick is to never to have these men meet each other. I know. And I remember a quick joke about a father who goes to a kindergarten and he says, "I'm here to pick up my child." And he said, the kindergarten teacher says, "Which one is yours?" He says, "It doesn't matter, just give me any child, I'll just bring them back tomorrow." When we reach that level of understanding that all children are our children, that we are all the same and we all belong to each other, then we can talk about these things. But in order for us to reach that, we really need to go down this way. I hope I have clarified a little bit about this legalization of sex work. I'll move on to a next video next time. Love you all. Cheers. Be good. Don't crucify me, please. I'm already doing that myself.